Today we're going to explore a science experiment, and this is written out almost as if it were written for a magazine or science journal. Obviously, it's written for the audience as third graders, so it's not going to have super technical text or language or vocabulary. And I'm going to share with you actually an experiment or a write-up of an experiment a little later, just to show you what a science paper looks like. And it's pretty neat, and it's about this exact subject, which is fascinating. I found it just perusing some articles and Googling some things about ants. But right now, let's take a look at this write-up and see what we can get from it. It's titled, "What Happens When an Ant Trail is Blocked?" And here at the beginning we have a little introductory paragraph letting you know what this is all about. A large number of ants will follow a single path to find food. What happens when that trail is blocked? In this experiment, you will safely disturb the ant's path and observe the results. So basically, here's a science question where we want to know what happens, right? And before we read on, let's take a look at these reading guide questions over here. Why do you think the author includes all the materials needed at the start of the experiment? How does the author show steps in a process? And what is an important task in each step of the process? So as you can see here, we have some different parts of this article. You have an introductory paragraph, you have a section where there are materials listed in bullet points, and then you have a section titled procedure. The word procedure means steps in a process. So this is the process of doing the experiment, and it's listed by numbers. And then over here you have a flow chart showing you how, kind of giving you a summary of the procedure and what to expect, or this is how it should go in time order. And then you have some observations. So a student actually did this experiment, and what did she observe as she did it? And here's a table that includes details of the observations. Finally, over here you've got the conclusion of the experiment. So science papers will take everything that a scientist did, and they deduce information that they can use and sort of summarize their findings. So here you have a summary of the article, but it doesn't tell you what the results were. Over here it takes the results, which are in the observations, and it makes sense of them. That's what a conclusion is, okay? So in conclusion, this is what I got from what I did. Let's take a look at some of the materials. You've got food, such as honey or sugar, wooden block, measuring tape or ruler, timer or watch, notepad and pencil. And then you have a digital camera, which is optional. What does optional mean? It means it's not necessary. You don't have to have it in order to do the experiment. But it would be pretty neat to be able to record and then play back so that you can observe with even more detail things that you may have missed when you were just looking with your own natural eyes. Now, the procedure. Find ants. Look for an anthill around patios or breaks in the concrete. So the first thing you have to do is find some ants to do the experiment with, right? And you want to find them just in nature, in their natural habitat. Observe the ants for 5 minutes. Record what you see. Use words and drawings. Put as much detail as possible. What are they doing? How many ants are there? Place the food 24 inches away from the anthill. That's very detailed, and the reason it's so detailed is so that other people can do the same exact experiment exactly the same way. What do you think will happen? Observe and record again. Include drawings or photographs. Record how long it takes. Alright, number 4. Give the ants time to form a trail to the food and back to the anthill. Observe what the ants do. Number 5. When the ants have formed a clear trail, block their path with the wooden block. Be careful not to harm the ants. Observe how the ants react to the block. Record your observations. Number 6. Think about the results. What happened? How did ants react when their trail was blocked? Draw conclusions and share your ideas with a partner. And here you have a flow chart. Observe ants, then block path, then observe again. This is put in here just to give you a bigger picture, a big idea of how this experiment is supposed to work. And then here in the so the first part of this is all set up for you to be able to do the experiment, and now they actually pretend like a kid did it. Observations. One student did the experiment and wrote down what she saw. She also drew a picture of the ants walking. But these are listing the observations, like what this student saw doing the experiment. So before food is put down, what did she see? 4 ants wandered out from the anthill. They wandered around and then went back in after 2 minutes. So look at the details here. 4 ants, 2 minutes, and what they did. Before blocking path to food, about 10 ants came out of the anthill. A few found the honey. They all went back to the anthill. 2 minutes later, many ants came out. They walked in a line to the honey. They went back and forth to the anthill. One thing that she could have recorded here is whether or not it was a straight line or if it zigzagged. Definitely, and you can see here, like a picture showing the line would be helpful as well. And then after blocking the path, at first, the wooden block interrupted the line of ants. They wandered around for about 90 seconds. I like the detail here, so it took them about 90 seconds. Then a line formed again toward the honey. Now, I would have liked to see more detail, like did the line go to the right? Was there 2 lines? Did it go way around the block, or was it tight, like just around the block? That kind of information. That, to me, that would just be interesting to know. And then conclusions. Ants, conclusions would be like, what can you deduce? What can you make of all this information? So of these observations, what will you conclude? Ants must follow smell rather than use sight to find food. At first, the wooden block confused the ants, and they lost track of the scent. They had a hard time seeing the food around the block, but the block could not stop the smell of the food or the pheromone trail. Once they found the smell, they went around or over the block to get to the honey. See, it says around or over the block. I want to know, did they go over it or around it? Were there more than one trail? Because the whole idea of there being a trail is that it's like one track of pheromones. But this is written by people who imagined this whole experiment. You should give it a try, and maybe you could publish your findings. Good luck, and good luck taking your little quiz with questions about this.